Welcome back to Claimed by Him Season 2. I'm Lisa Keeton, and I'm thrilled to continue this walk with you as we explore faith through the lens of everyday life. From heartfelt devotionals to personal reflections, this season is all about discovering what it truly means to live a life claimed by God. Welcome to Beginner's Guide for Christianity, where faith meets life. We are here to share our experiences of receiving healing in the Father's house through witnessing and testimonies. I'm your host, Lisa Keeton, and we are here and we're honored to have Carmen Davenport with us. Welcome, Carmen.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. Do you know that Carmen is an author? She's a life coach. She's an empowerment speaker, and she's recognized globally for her dedication to in uplifting women through her platform, Invincible You. She's the voice behind Invincible You coaching. And Carmen helps her clients address hidden traumas and negative behaviors, drawing from her own journey as a survivor of childhood abuse and sexual violence. She emphasizes the importance of healing root traumas to live one's best life and advocates for mental health awareness and support. Carmen's philosophy centers on knowing one's purpose and using personal experiences to positively impact others. Carmen remains dedicated to spreading her message of empowerment and transformation worldwide. And she got an extra bonus. Carmen has served in the United States military for 25 years, and she's a retired veteran. And we want to say thank you for coming on and sharing with us.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
You are welcome. So, we just want to talk about your journey with Christ and how you started out and where you ended up.
Ooh, goodness. Let me tell you. My journey with Christ. I believe it started when I was about 6 years old. About 6 years old. At that time, I was actually, being molested by my stepfather. I was actually molested by my stepfather for 7 years. So from 6 to 13, I was being molested. But at about 6, it's kind of like I knew that there was somebody else that was in charge.
Right.
I knew that everything that I was dealing with my stepfather wasn't the end state. Like somebody is over you and somebody's going to punish you for what you're doing to me.
Right.
That's how I viewed it. I just didn't know who that somebody was.
Okay.
And I started going to church with my aunts and my uncles, and they went to, it was a Baptist church.
Okay.
And, in a Baptist church, people are really free to express themselves, the Holy Spirit. And,
Right.
to me at that age, it was just hooting and hollering. I didn't know what they was doing. And one time there was a lady, she was standing next to me. I was sitting in the pew and she was standing next to me. And she started hollering and swinging her arms, and then she fell on me.
Right.
And at that time, I don't remember them having ushers like they do now, where they go and fan you and stuff. She fell on me, and so
Right.
that was my last time going there. I said, I don't know what's going on now, but I'm not coming back. I don't think this is it. I don't think this is, what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I stopped going. I was probably about 9 years old at that time. I just stopped going. And Jehovah Witness later on came to my home. And, I grew up in New York.
Right.
My mom used to always tell me, because my mother, she didn't go to church. She used to always tell me, don't you open up that door. Don't open up that door. And if you hear a knock, we peeking through the windows, see who's out
trying
there.
to figure out who it is.
We try to yell, shh, shh, shh. It's the Jehovah's Witness, shh. And so it's like, okay, don't open the door. And one day I opened up the door. I didn't check the window or anything. I just opened up the door.
Right.
And it was the father, the wife, the husband and wife and their 2 daughters. And somehow I connected to them. I'm
Wow. Wow.
9. Why am I connecting to the Jehovah Witnesses?
Mm-hmm.
And but it was because I was searching.
Yes.
9 years old, I was searching. I went to church. I didn't like what they were doing. I tried the Jehovah Witnesses, and the crazy thing is, my mother allowed for me to go to the Jehovah Witness hall with this family. They invited me over to dinner. They made clothes for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I felt part of the family. They had two little girls, so I felt connected.
Right.
In my household, it was very disconnected.
Mm.
The stepfather, of course, was molesting me. My mom, she was dealing with her own battle. She was
Right.
pretty young, compared to my stepfather, who I believe was maybe 15 years older than
Oh,
her,
wow. Okay.
minimum.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, at that time, I don't understand why they got married. Maybe it was more of security for her.
Right.
But and then I had a younger brother. Well, I have a younger brother. He's 2 years younger than me. I just didn't feel connected to the family.
Right.
I blamed my brother for a lot of things that happened, even though it wasn't his fault for a
Mhm.
very long time. I looked at it, whereas, now I'll kind of come back a little bit. As I got older, my stepfather used to have me do chores.
Right.
Both had chores, responsibilities, but if my brother did not do his, then I was the one that was held responsible. He would still be able to go outside and play.
Wow.
That would be the reason
Mm.
that father would keep me in the house, and then he would have his way.
Right.
So for a very long time, I resented my brother.
Mm. I
And
understand.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I resented him. I resented my mom,
Mm.
because you're my mother. You should know what's happening here.
Mm.
And so I was searching.
Right.
I was searching for family. I was searching for someone to hold my stepfather responsible. Like, I was just searching. I knew there was a God. I just hadn't been introduced to him physically at that time.
Right.
It's new. And so I continued to go to the Jehovah Witness Hall with this family. And
Kingdom Hall. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and all of a sudden I stopped. I really don't know what happened and why.
Right.
I just don't recall what happened, but I stopped. And then, but from there, I still continued to search.
Mm.
In high school, I started going to church with a friend of mine. She was very involved in the church, and it was a group of us. It was, a clique. So it was
Right.
10 of us that hung together, and she was the mama of the crew. She was one. She would tell us what we're doing wrong and what y'all need to stop doing this, stuff like that. So she was the one that kind of brought religion, or brought that relationship back into my life. I was
Okay.
going to the camping trips with her and her church. And there was this one occasion where one of her friends, which was someone who I went to school with when I was in sixth grade, but we never, stayed in contact.
Right.
Her and this young lady were still friends. And I remember we did some activities, and everybody was kind of, off on their own little program for a little while. And I was laying in the top bunk of the bed.
Right.
And this lady, her name is Laverne, she climbed up to the top bunk, like she's standing on the side. She was, she asked me, she said, "Are you saved?" We're, we're about maybe 17,
Right.
like, "Are you saved?" Um, what does that mean?
Right.
And she was like, "Well, are you going to heaven or hell?" Well, I don't want to go to hell. I knew there's a difference.
Right.
I definitely don't want to go to hell. So I guess I'm not. And literally at that moment, she prayed the prayer of salvation with me.
Mm.
So I was about 17 when I got saved, and I didn't live a life because I didn't know what
Right.
I needed to do. I just got saved.
Okay.
But it took some time for me to truly understand who God is,
Yes.
truly trust God, even
Yeah.
though I knew that there was somebody, I knew somebody was going to hold my stepfather accountable.
Right.
I knew there was somebody bigger than what we were dealing with in this world.
Mhm.
I just hadn't been introduced to him at that time.
But you was introduced to him because you were searching and seeking for him from the time that you were 6.
That's
So
true.
you knew, and so he was in your life. You just didn't recognize who he was because you said at 6, and then you said again at 9, and then again as you gotten older to 19, or 17, I think you said, you
Yeah.
know what? He was there. He was always there, always present. You
Yeah.
just didn't recognize who he was. And
Exactly.
that's good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question about forgiveness, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of times when things happen to us, it's hard to forgive that person and
Yes.
then to forgive yourself, forgive your mother, and forgive your brother. So
Yes.
how did you go through that whole forgiveness process?
So with that, uh, I was going through something
Mhm,
myself. I was going through something, and I was just trying to figure out who I was. I was
right.
well into my 30s by this time.
Mm-hmm.
Well into my 30s. And I was just struggling. I felt like, I didn't understand love. I felt like I wasn't finding love.
Right.
Felt like, I had to be in control. There was a lot of, I call them weeds.
Mm-hmm.
I call them weeds. There was a lot of weeds that I had. I had a
Right.
weed of promiscuity. I had a weed of control.
Mm-hmm.
I had a weed of insecurity.
Yes.
I had a weed of a lack of trust.
Yes.
I had a weed of a lack of love. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
no clue what love was. And
Right.
so I had all of these weeds that was growing out of me.
Right.
These weeds are growing out of me. They're manifesting, different behaviors in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course, promiscuity. I was very promiscuous.
Right.
And I didn't understand why I was behaving the way I
Mm-hmm.
was behaving. Why I had to be in control, why I had to be in charge, why I was so promiscuous, why, I didn't care for other people's feelings.
Right. That all started in your childhood, though, from what happened to you.
That
Right.
and so in my 30s, that's when I realized. I sat down and I did a self-evaluation of myself. And that's
Okay.
a process that I actually do for my clients. And that's why I work with, my clients in healing traumas.
Yes.
And so I had to realize that all of those weeds, I'm like, where are all of these weeds stemming from? And they
Right.
all went back to that root of molestation.
Yes. Yes.
All went back because I didn't have control.
Yes.
I thought that sex was love.
Yes.
I thought that, for one, I thought I was ugly. I thought I was,
Mm,
I thought that I was, I just wasn't appealing to people,
right.
So throughout high school, I was very insecure. I was
Mm-hmm.
very insecure in myself. I didn't really make friends. I was bullied a lot. So, well, not just in high school. I was bullied in elementary school. High school,
Right.
I was, I had already overcome that. But those were a lot of things that I was dealing with, and I know a lot of other people deal with that, as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
But for me, at that time, once I realized it was the root of molestation that had created all of these weeds that had basically, strangled me.
Yes.
You know, I
Mhm.
look at all of us as being flowers when we were created.
Yes.
All a flower. My
Mhm.
my favorite flower is orchid.
Okay.
So we're all flowers. That's how God look at us. But life,
Yes.
the soil that we're planted in, based on where we're planted, there's weeds all over that. There's
Mm-hmm.
weeds within our families. There's,
Yes.
you could cut them off, you could remove them out of your family or whatever, but those weeds are still growing up around you from the effects that people have had
That's true.
on you. So those weeds are still growing up around you. And that's how, that's how we all get entangled with things.
That's true.
And so at that time, God told me that I needed to forgive my stepfather.
Mhm.
He told me, so we get back to forgiveness. He told me I had to forgive my stepfather. And at that time, I was just indifferent. I didn't, it happened.
Mhm.
I moved on. He passed when I was 15. I
Mhm.
just didn't worry about it anymore. But the
Right.
effects were still there.
Yes.
The anger was still there with my mother and my brother. The hurts was still there. They was just embedded in me. And
Right.
that's where all of those weeds, was also growing from. But once he told me I had to forgive my stepfather, I forgave him. I didn't understand because he's
Right.
gone, but I just prayed, I forgive you for everything that you've done to me. But that also brought revelation to me that when, a lot of times these are generational curses.
Yes.
So if he did that to me, it may have been done to him,
Yes.
or I wasn't the first person who he did it to.
You're right.
And later on, I found out that he actually tried to do the same. He tried to molest my cousin.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, my
Mhm.
cousin and I was talking because she's had a lot of issues,
Probably some of the same issues you had.
yes,
Mhm.
in her family, and just, disconnected from her family. So she has a lot of issues. But, when I spoke to her about my issues and we were able to compare, she
Mhm.
mentioned that my stepfather had tried to molest her, and our grandfather had caught him,
Oh, wow.
basically, told him, don't you ever, don't you ever come near her. Don't, he,
Right.
and at that time I told her, I said, I really wish that he had have known that he was
Mhm.
doing that to me, because I didn't have that backing. I didn't
Right.
have that protection.
Right.
I didn't have that. So I had to endure everything that I was enduring. I just had to
Right.
go through it. But forgiveness is very, very important.
Yes, it is.
And we all know, it's not for the person, it's for us.
Yes.
It's for us. We have to be able to move forward. But I believe that we also need to be a little more understanding,
Yes.
be a little more compassionate.
Yes.
Things that happen to us, it happens to us, for one, because God allows it to happen.
Yes.
He'll allow it to happen because Satan cannot touch us without asking God or letting God.
That's true. That is very true.
So he'll allow it to happen, but we have to remember that God is allowing this to happen for what?
A reason.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've held in my heart
Right.
the scripture that says that all things happen together for the good of those who love the Lord and who are
Yeah.
called in accordance to his purpose.
Purpose. Yes.
And I hold that. So everything that I've endured, everything that I've dealt with, everything that I've had to face, I understood it as God is going to use this.
Yes.
He's going to use this, and you're going to be okay, because he's not going to put any more on you than you can bear.
True.
So you're going to be okay.
Right.
So just understand that you're awesome. Understand that you're amazing because God chose you, and
Hmm.
understand that your purpose is much, much bigger than what you think it is.
Yes. And it's much bigger than us. And
Yes.
God, you're right. I truly believe that we go through things so that we can be a witness and
Yeah.
give a testimony to somebody else to let them know, you know what? I made it through this.
Yes.
You too can make it through. So
Yes.
we are there to encourage each other. So
Yes.
that is beautiful. I
Yes.
mean, it's not, it wasn't beautiful when you were going through,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
it's beautiful that in the end you have turned it around to make it, not just about you and your pain, and you didn't turn inwards, but you reached out to help others.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful part.
That's and understanding that all things work together, not
Mhm.
just good. When he say all, okay, that means it's not just good. That means everything else. That the stuff that don't make me feel good, the stuff
Right.
that hurts me, the
Yeah.
stuff that demeans me, the stuff that makes me feel insecure.
Yes.
The promiscuity that I was dealing with,
Hmm.
not understanding love, because at that time I equated love to sex.
Yes.
And that was because that's what was introduced to me.
Yes.
That's how love was introduced to me. So I'm thinking that that's what it is. So I'm
Mhm.
out here just, being promiscuous, but I got to be in control because I didn't have control when I was younger.
Right.
I couldn't control what was happening to me. So now I had to have control.
Hmm. Hmm.
So now I'm putting, men under submission to me, you know, and
Right.
I'm trying to, I got to regain my control. I have to have control.
But you see the cycle?
Oh, absolutely.
He felt like he needed to have control and he needed to be in charge and he needed people up under him. He did that to you, and then it keeps on because then you felt the same way. And I'm glad that you could break that
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was extremely important for me to be able to recognize what was happening. And a lot of people don't recognize it,
Yes.
which is why it's so important to communicate with other people who have gone through it, but not just gone through it, but who can decipher, who
Yes.
can discern the things that has happened and why. Everything has a why. And once we understand that why,
Mm-hmm.
then we can move forward.
Yes.
You have to know the why. Why are you going there? If you don't know why you're doing something, then you can't correct it, you can't
True.
make changes, and you can't move forward because
True.
you don't understand why. You don't
That's
understand
true.
why you're on this path. Why am I on this path? I don't even know. And because I don't know why I'm on this path, then I don't really know what direction I'm supposed to be going.
Mm-hmm. So you got to get to the root. If
Yeah.
you can get to the root, you can change all the fruit that's been birthed out of that. So, yeah. So you got to get to the root.
Yeah.
And so that is very good. I am so happy that you are transparent and you're willing to share because I'm sure it'll be a blessing to somebody else. And so
Yes.
that is great. So tell me, what are you doing now? What are you working on?
Well, actually, I'm in my doctor's program. I'm working on my DBA with Jacksonville University.
Oh,
But
wow.
as far as other projects, I do life coaching. I put it on hold for a little bit just to finish school. But I also have a project that God told me to work on well into my 30s.
Okay.
When we, had our little face-to-face conversation, and he
Right.
told me I needed to forgive.
Come to Jesus.
Yes. So at that time, he also told me I needed to write a book.
Okay.
And the book is called Daddy's Little Girl.
Mm.
And with that, it is my autobiography,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know, and being able to express everything that I've dealt with, everything that I've seen, all of the seeds that have been planted in my life, bad and good,
Right.
that have come to fruition. And I had to go through and actually discern and decipher, which ones were the ones, of course, that needed to stay and which ones I need to work on.
Right.
But in the book, it's the focus is really going through my whole life and expressing everything that I've endured, but also understanding that there was a purpose for every single thing.
Yes. Yes.
And even when I look at everything that I've endured, I can go back to the Bible and find a scripture that covers
Mm-hmm.
what I've dealt with. It covers it. So I've, incorporated the scriptures into my work as well to show people that just rely on God,
Yes.
trust God, just believe in God, just have faith, don't quit, don't give up,
Yes.
don't fall and never get back up. You have to understand that your purpose is much greater than yourself. You
Right.
have to. And when you understand that your purpose is greater than you and you learn to not be selfish,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn to give more and be
Yeah.
transparent, there's look, we could talk about so much, but we have a limited time. But I'm very, very transparent with the things that I've gone through because it's important for people to look at what they're
Yeah.
dealing with and to be able to talk about it. Because once you start talking about it, not just saying, yeah, I was molested, but I was molested for 7 years
Right.
by my stepfather.
Yes.
That caused for me to have issues with my brother. My brother
Mhm.
and I fought all the time.
Right.
Not trust my mom. I did not like my mom. I felt like she abandoned me.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get deeper and when you can dive into
Yes.
the actual issues that situation may have caused you, that's when you can really become transparent. That's when healing starts, and
Yes.
that's when you start helping to heal other people. You can't heal other people by telling somebody, "Yeah, I was molested."
And I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I think one of the hardest steps for us to do is to that initial step.
It
That
is.
initial step to open up, and because there's a lot of trust issues,
Yeah.
and it's just like if I've been damaged here, I don't want to share that with anybody. And
Yeah.
so that is, if you can get over that first hurdle
Yeah.
of just opening up to somebody that you feel safe with,
Yeah.
then that, I mean, because it's hard digging in yourself. That is like one of the hardest things.
You can't dig. You can't do it yourself all the time, and
Right.
it's important for it's very important for you to, for one, you have to do that self evaluation.
Yes.
And a lot of things that, the weeds that we tend to deal with also cause shame. So that's just
Yeah.
another weed.
Mhm.
It's another weed. And when you begin to deal with these weeds, then you can open up. You know,
Yes.
I had to deal with shame. I
Yeah.
didn't want to tell people the things that I've endured, and the promiscuities that led to pregnancies, that led to abortions.
Right.
No, nobody is truly proud of that.
Right.
They shouldn't be. No.
But you know what? Even though you went through that, other people have gone through other things that, we're not proud of. And
Yeah,
so nobody is perfect.
exactly,
And so
exactly,
we're all here to help each other, because
exactly.
you might have went down that path, but the next person you can maybe stop.
Yeah,
If you're working with teens or young adults and stuff like that, you can say, hey, I've been there. I did this. That's not somewhere where you want to travel.
go that route. You don't want
Yeah.
to go that route, and a lot of times these teams, I tend to work with the older, the more mature crowd, uh,
Okay.
because we're dealing with stuff and don't understand why we're dealing with them.
Right.
Well, it's because of your past that
Yes.
you haven't
Yes.
dealt with. We can't keep pushing our past down. We take it in. It's almost like, I use the example of a jack in the box,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
take it, and everything that we're dealing with, we just push down, push down, push down, push
Mhm.
down. I just want people to see this.
Right.
I don't want people to see the hurt. I don't want people to see the
Mhm.
shame. I don't want people to see all the pain, but people can't heal from this.
Yes, that's true.
I need to know that you've gone through something and you
Yes.
can relate to me.
You're right.
That's what I need to know. If you haven't gone through anything, then you can't coach me.
That's true.
You can't
Because
relate.
you can't relate. Right. Yes, you cannot relate.
Yeah. So, that's another reason why I do what I do. A lot of people, they look at me and they think that I'm real young. What have you gone through? You ain't going through nothing. You're 30. Well, I 37 years old, But no, child, I am into my 50s, So thank you.
Look, God has kept you.
He sure has. He sure has. And but that's more important, because that's why I'm able to connect to people.
Yes.
That's why. And what we really have to understand, and if we can get this, if we can truly get this, to stop being selfish,
Yes.
because we weren't created for ourselves.
That's true.
God did not create us to be just that individual in this world. He told us to connect to people.
Yes.
So in order for us to help other people, we have to be transparent.
Yes.
We have to share our testimonies. We have to let them know, hey, I've gone through this, and this, but look at where I am right now.
No.
And
Hmm.
look at how I am right now. And they're not affecting me, because I'm not allowing for them to affect me, because I know that God is over every single thing in this world.
Yes, he
He
is.
has dominion. So because of that, and I know that I'm a child of God, and I know that I'm the queen that He created me to be, then I'm just going to continue to conquer through every challenge that He gives me, because I'm not conquering for me.
Right.
I'm conquering for that person who He's going to bring in my path,
Yes.
who needs support, who needs encouragement, who needs empowerment. That's who I'm conquering for. Nothing is about us.
I agree.
Nothing. And that's the other thing that helps me, knowing that nothing is about us. Stop. It's not about you. Get out the mirror. It's not about you. It's
That's
about
true.
everybody else who's coming behind you, and they need you. So
I thank you. I
yeah,
thank you for that mindset, because that is the mindset of Christ and
yeah,
that we're supposed to have. And
yeah.
so I really do appreciate your time.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate all that you're doing with other people. This has truly been a blessing.
Thank you so much. And
And so,
thank you for allowing for me to have this interview with you. is awesome. And as much as I can, talk to people and share my life,
Right.
I'm just hoping if I just get one person, that
Yeah.
one person can impact their whole generation.
Yes.
We're not impacting individuals, we're impacting generations.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
have to get out of our own way.
So thank you. Quick question. Where can they find you?
Oh, let me tell you, I'm all over the place. So you can find me on social media and I do respond, So for my Facebook and my Instagram, I am Carmen Davenport. My name. That's I am Carmen Davenport.
Yes.
On TikTok, which I'm not on that much, I'm still learning some of these new social media tools.
Right.
TikTok is I am Carmen Davenport 1.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm on LinkedIn. You can search me, Carmen Davenport. You can Google me, Carmen Davenport. If you just Google me, you'll find me. You'll find everything about me.
So
Yeah.
if you're looking for help, if you want to open up, you want to share your heart with someone that has gone through some of the things that you might have gone through, you know what? Reach out to Carmen, and she will be a blessing. You see if this conversation has been wonderful, and she will help you grow, help you open up, and you know what? Get past some of those things in life and be able to forgive some of
Yeah.
the people that have possibly hurt you in the past.
Yes.
So thank you again. I do appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All
Thank you.
right.